Was spoken about the inclusivity of these programs and how, there are certain communities that don't necessarily have access.
Yeah.
So I think we can unpack that a little bit more in terms of your Legacy Labs model and what that looks like for inclusivity. But I know that you mentioned that, for example, the Innovation Hub works with the Home Precinct, and maybe Barry, in response to this, maybe you can touch on, how you also work with organizations like Innovation Hub and others.
So, to quickly say, and I'm conscious of time, so I'll try to be as quick as I can, but to me the key thing is to look at 5 factors. One is to look at the space. Where do you operate? So we've taken 5 old buildings in Braamfontein, we've renovated them, and we've got a very attractive space. Location is very important, so it's to be in the right place, and I can go on at length about what the right place is. Then there's the ecosystem, and I think the ecosystem is really who you work with and how you support your entrepreneurs. So you create a point of contact that brings many players together, and that's the ecosystem. And then there are programs, and I spoke a bit about the programs. We run pre-incubation, incubation, acceleration programs that help people to grow their business. The very important additional program that we run that you wouldn't find in Silicon Valley and elsewhere is around skills development, because we find many amazing people with great ideas who lack the skills to implement those ideas. And the skills they need aren't just lying out there. So we've got a very active skills program. And finally, pipeline. I think we all sit with the problem, where do these ideas come from? And the kind of unique opportunity we've got is we link to Wits University. And although we aren't successful yet at doing that, I really believe, looking at Wits, we've got an idea factory on our doorstep with thousands of fantastic, bright people, and we would like to be the place where they bring those ideas to take them to market.
So that's really creating, that link versus in the previous panel, where we talked about academic institutions and how they can play a role in terms of driving that innovation discussion. That's kind of the bridge that we see happening at Zambia Hall.
Yeah. And I think that we call it tech transfer in the sort of academic world. And it's one of the biggest problems in most universities worldwide, is how you take ideas from the laboratory and you make them into products and into businesses and make real social and economic impact from research. And we're trying to tackle that. It's a very hard nut to crack.
So when we launched AlphaCode 5 years ago, our thesis was we wanted to invest R1 billion into financial services entrepreneurs in South Africa. And we originally didn't start out with an incubator and accelerator model. Our hypothesis at that point was saying, there's people in the ecosystem that are doing that, we will just be the pot of growth capital.
Okay.
And our thesis was that if we find good businesses and we apply capital, we're going to get another discovery. However, a couple of years into the journey, we had only deployed about 300 million rand of that 1 billion, and we realized that we had to do a lot more in the ecosystem to develop these entrepreneurs, which actually led us to developing very formalized programs. And the reason for that was we found there were great people doing great work in the ecosystem, but they weren't necessarily tailoring it for the South African environment. And what I mean by that is, in our view, these sort of 12-week Silicon Valley type incubators don't make sense for South Africa, and they don't make sense for financial services. And the reason for that is our entrepreneurs are great, I mean they're world class, but they don't have the skills, they don't have the support, they don't have the mentorship, all the things that we've spoken about. So there's a much deeper skill set that we had to build. And also you don't build and launch a financial services business in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
The first phase is core factory, so we still getting them ready, and once they start selling, we call them core. And they can be in the core program for up to 3 years. Some of the companies take a shorter period of time. So let me stop here and give others an opportunity to ask, but that's how we run our program. or perhaps let me, for completeness sake, we
Sure.
don't just operate from Linwood and Pretoria, which is where we're based.
Yeah.
We have satellite hubs in 10 townships. So
Okay.
they are innovation hub, but they are in townships in
Okay.
Gauteng. And we call that initiative Accelerators.
Yes.
We run incubation, but it's not just an incubator.
So let's park that one for now because
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting comment because something was spoken about the inclusivity of these programs and how, there are certain communities that don't necessarily have access.
Yeah.
So I think we can unpack that a little bit more in terms of your Igasi Labs model and what that looks like for inclusivity.